Okay, so I've been talking about the Hubbard family, and something occurred. It's in the nature of a tragedy, and I think this tragedy had an effect on L. Ron Hubbard that did something that never really got handled to him, and I'll tell you what it was. So, here we were in 1957, a very poor organization with people like L. Ron Hubbard Jr. suffering problems as a family man in terms of money. And I mean, salaries were just bare subsistence. So I forget just what happened, but I think it was in the spring of 1958. L. Ron Hubbard Jr., who would normally come to work every day, was gone, disappeared. And no one seemed to know where he was or where he had gone, including his father. So it was just a mystery that went on and on and on. And finally it turned out that L. Ron Hubbard, even today I find what I'm about to say is hard to believe, really. It was like what occurred was unimaginable. L. Ron Hubbard went out, left Washington, D.C., and went around the country presenting himself as a representative of the organization. And to the best of my knowledge, was delivering auditing for money. And the people that were paying him to do this thought, oh, isn't it wonderful he's here? Now I don't have to go to Washington, and the money will just go to him, and then it will go back to the organization. But that did not happen. What happened, according to the information I was given, was that he was taking the money and keeping it to support himself and his family. And the upshot was there was this tremendous break between the father, L. Ron Hubbard, and L. Ron Hubbard Jr., so that they never, ever again spoke to each other. To imagine the enormity of that break, these two people were as close as two people could possibly get, filled with love and admiration and help for each other. And for this tremendous thing to happen, it was inconceivable. And it was irreparable. Efforts were made by different people to try to bring about a recovery, but it never occurred, ever. In fact, Junior even became an enemy of his father, directly. So, a friend of mine who was with L. Ron Hubbard, when the news of what his son was doing finally came to him, said that he had never seen anything like what happened when the news arrived as to what his son had been doing. He said that he clutched his throat and said something like, "This is killing me. I can't believe it." And my friend said that he caught him as he was fainting from the shock of the information. 20 minutes later, he had to go on stage and deliver a public lecture because it was right in the middle of a congress that was occurring. But my friend, who shall go unnamed, said it was almost as though Ron Hubbard was dying from that information. So, in my opinion, and it is only my opinion, I don't think he was quite the same person after that in terms of the direction that he ultimately went. Because many of his actions, in my opinion and in my observation, were aimed at getting himself in a position where nothing could ever attack him again. He was worked year after year to make himself be in a position of being invulnerable, free from any source or individual or group that could say or do anything that would ever get to him again. And in my opinion, that incident, which I don't know was ever really handled, started him in that direction. Maybe true, maybe not, but I think I can make somewhat of a case for it, because in his remaining years he established himself almost as though he was being a god, and anyone that said a word against him or did anything or made any kind of comment was in more trouble than you could shake a stick at. He would not accept criticism or invalidation or commentary, or he could never say, "I'm wrong." He even came up with a statement which I think was most regrettable, part of a declaration in which he said, "Never regret the past, life is in you today." Well, it's only because we are capable of feeling regret that we learn to have something to say about our behavior. A person who can't experience regret anymore would normally be defined as a psychopath. So anyway, this is one of the things about Ron and what later became the future, not only of the man, but his organization, that I mention in passing, because as the years went by, this individual became no longer the human being that I knew, but more like someone who was inhuman. Still great, but still had become very dangerous, with an enemy list 2 blocks long. And all of these things are usually the sort of character armoring and defenses that a person creates when they feel they are too easily attacked or assailed or harmed. Anyway, I'll close on that negative note, but it's a positive note in the sense that it is possible through the experiences in life, if they aren't handled even by your own understanding, to turn yourself away from what you've been. Anyway, with help and admiration, even the enormities that we will face if we live long enough, even these things can be tempered and handled. And thank you for listening.